How does an executive coach help a leader who is over-relying on a passive approach?
Well, I first want to say that if a leader isn't assertive, the bottom line is that they are not as effective as they could be. And so I hope all the leaders that are listening will really take a look, stand back and see, am I overly aggressive or am I passive? But I had an example of a client who was a CEO of a large company, and he was too passive. And it's actually more common than you'd think. I know that there's a lot of aggressive CEOs, but there are passive CEOs out there too. And what he didn't do was he didn't fire people. He didn't give performance feedback. He didn't deal with conflict within the executive team or within the organization. He didn't give consequences. He didn't hold people accountable. And as you can imagine, that was really detrimental to the company.
Sounds like he was everybody's buddy?
Yeah, I think he wanted to be liked. And I think he just naturally did not like conflict. And so, you know, as we worked deeper with him, we found out why. But the impact on the organization was lack of trust, high turnover, especially with high potential employees, a lot of conflicts, a lot of protracted conflicts that just kept going and going. People not collaborating, the executive team not collaborating to come up with strategy or to solve problems or use conflicts as a way to actually increase creativity in the organization instead of stamp it out. A lot of fear too.
Ouch, right, yeah. And it would seem that out the door then goes innovation?
Yes, and there were a couple of bullies within the top leadership that he was not dealing with, and those bullies kept people from bringing up new ideas. They squelched just the interaction, and so it was really a problem that he was being so passive.
Wow, yeah, that really spells it out. So how did coaching help this passive CEO?
Okay, well, there was a lot of things, but I'll pull out two. And one of them was going deeply into his DISC assessment, because it pointed out where he naturally was more passive. He was more analytical, he was more passive, and so it pointed that out so that he learned about himself more. And he started asking his wife, he started asking people in the organization, is this true about me? Just having deeper thoughts around it. And the DISC can be a really great jumping off point to create actions and to identify behaviors to practice so that you stretch into being a little bit more of some of the other types so that you're not just the one type that you're tied to.
Yeah, yeah. And what about his coach? Was the coach able to, I mean, I don't know if he was, but it sounds like he might have been an introvert.
Yes. Yeah, introverted, and so that played into it as well. Extremely introverted, extremely analytical, and so the coach was able to ask him questions to help him understand his style more, and also understand that he needed to stretch into other places and create actions on how to do that. So that was one of the ways that we worked with him, and then there was another way, which was even more interesting.
Yeah, are you going to tell me that one?
Yes, yes. So he started to trust the coach more. You can imagine that somebody that is very analytical and introverted doesn't trust quickly. So over time, trust was built with the coach. And as the trust was built, they were able to go deeper and they were actually able to find that there were some negative cognitions that his mother had instilled in him while he was young that were impacting some of his behavior as well. And so we found out that his mother had told him, don't trust anyone, and had told him that he was insignificant and incapable.
Mm.
And sometimes that happens in childhood. And, you know, if it's too deep and we can't chip away at it, we definitely refer out to a psychologist for this work. But, and sometimes it's done in tandem.
Mm-hmm.
But in this case, it was okay, and we made progress by just seeing them, journaling about them, drawing about them, and then replacing them. So he replaced that with, I am capable, I can trust most people, and I know when I can't trust someone. I can trust myself to be discerning with that. And he also came up with sort of a mantra of, you know, being assertive means intervening in bad behavior. It means fostering collaboration, and it means dealing with conflict head on.
That's nice.
Mm-hmm.
So would that be a coach kind of assignment or invitation?
Yeah, it would be an invitation, and he chose the ways he would play with that. And what he did was repeat that while he was walking in the morning. And then he had discussions with the people in the organization that he trusted about what does that mean. He wrote a leadership vision that included that, and he really stepped into that new leadership vision. And over time, he became quite a bit more assertive.
Wow. And what was the impact for the organization?
It was really, really nice. Well, for one thing, the board wasn't as worried about him. So that was one thing.
I'm sorry,
and
say that again?
The board wasn't as worried about him. He came voluntarily to coaching. He wasn't sent by the board, but he knew that there were some concerns. The organization, he ended up firing some people that needed to go, who were directly insubordinate to him, even in person. He got a new team together. He got them collaborating more. He got them dealing with conflicts more directly. He brought in some training, and that helped with conflict and within the organization. And he had been in the organization and led it a long time, so it took time for the organization to change, but it did get better. It got to be a better place to work. He got happier. He got healthier, and their service scores started to go up. You know,
I find that so interesting, since it often in our experience requires a different leader, right, to come in and take an organization a different direction. To have that kind of growth actually happen for an established leader.
Mm-hmm.
Did that actually manifest also for like for the organization's results?
Yes, it impacted customer service scores. They started getting better bottom line results. Sales got better. It just impacted the whole organization. Now, it takes a leader who really wants to change and grow. And I've had leaders like this that didn't really want to. And even though they came to us, they didn't really want to, and so you didn't see that kind of change. It takes commitment, it takes, focus, it takes frequency of meeting with the coach, and it takes time. But the board and, they saw that he brought so much to the table that they didn't want to lose him. And so they, supported him as well. And he invited support from his team. And he had people that would give him feedback if he was slipping back into the old ways. So he engaged, the whole organization in supporting him and making this change.
Wow, that's real commitment, right? When you're actually asking people working with you, for you, reporting to you, to help you stay true to what you intend.
Yes, it's gutsy, and what I feel is that's the highest level of leadership, and you see that on the leadership agility tool. But the highest level of leadership to me is seeking feedback, building a culture where people will give real feedback to you, working on that feedback, and getting support in changing. And it doesn't have to be assertiveness. We all have things that we could improve, but if a leader commits to striving to improve, it's a wonderful example for the whole organization, and that creates change.